I've been that run and gun videographer that got a call and just picked up their gear and ran off to a shoot. But over the years, I've learned that there's a lot more that goes into it if you want to have a successful shoot. In this video, I'm going to go over the 3 most important stages of gear prep when it comes to going out as a solo videographer. Stick around. The first stage of gear prepping doesn't even have anything to do with the actual gear. It has to do with understanding exactly what the final deliverables are and understanding the expectation of your client. For instance, what is the actual mood of the final deliverable? That'll help you to understand whether this needs to be a high-key shoot, a low-key shoot, high contrast, are you to have exaggerated colors in your image, or what? Additionally, who is this final video going to be for? Is it going to be for internal use, as in for employees? Is it going to be used for recruitment purposes? Is the video going to be for sponsors or investors? Is it going to be on social media? Is it going to be for broadcast or what? Understanding these different things can help you when it comes to the actual gear that you will be bringing with you onto that shoot. There are a few more things I can go into on this actual topic, but I'm gonna try to keep this condensed. So before I move on, is the final deliverable to be watched horizontally or vertically? Understanding that will help you with your gear as well as composition when you actually go into the production. And the last thing I want to touch on before moving into the next section is, are there any specific must-haves for your client? This is something that we need to understand before going into the shoot, right? And when I say that, I mean, let's say, for instance, you're shooting an interview. Are there any specific verbiage that the interviewee needs to say to the camera or to whoever it is that's conducting the interview that help your client to facilitate whatever it is that they're trying to do with that final deliverable to help them to reach their goals? Are there any specific shots that you must get? Let's say, for instance, if you're shooting an event, are there any particular products that you must capture? Understanding all these different things is super important when it comes to understanding the gear that you're going to need to help you to accomplish the goal for your client, as well as be efficient when it comes to your time on set. Now here comes the fun part, the actual tools that'll be needed for this job. Are you doing a single camera setup? Are you doing a multi-camera setup? Are you doing traditional 3-point lighting setup? Are you doing something a bit more fancy? If you're shooting a commercial, you're probably gonna need more than 3 lights because commercials are typically high key, right? And understanding that and understanding the expectations of your client will help you when it comes to actually packaging up your gear and rolling it out. Another thing when it comes to the type of lighting is understanding whether this shoot is to take place indoors or if it's gonna take place outdoors. And once you understand that, you can pack a more efficient kit, right? Are you going to need scrims and 4x4s? Are you gonna need a reflector, right? Are you gonna have to bounce light off the ceiling? Are you gonna need something to overpower the sun? All of these considerations need to be had prior to you actually going out there on set and setting up for the actual shoot. Similarly, when it comes to audio, how many microphones are you gonna need? What type of microphones are you gonna need? Are you gonna need a recorder, right? Are you shooting indoors or outdoors? That'll inform whether you use a pencil mic or a shotgun mic or a lav, right? Are you going to need something with some sound effects? Is this a video podcast? What's happening here? Understanding exactly what the final deliverable is. It always comes back to that. What is the final version of this video? Whether you're the one that's editing this video or not, understanding these key principles will help you to better pack your gear much more efficiently. And of course, we got the accessories that may be needed, such as tripods or light stands, boom poles, sliders, gimbals, or drones. Now, here's one thing. If you don't take anything else away from this video, here's one thing I want you to take with you. And that is, once you have all the gear that you're going to need, once you have a clear understanding of your client's expectations of the final image, once you gather everything up, please, I know it's a bit of a hassle, but please, I want you to take everything and connect everything. I want you to put all your lights on a light stand. I want you to rig up your camera or cameras. I want you to boom your audio overhead just how you intend to do on set. And the reason I want you to do all of this, connect all your cables, plug everything in. And the reason I want you to do this is so that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you have exactly what you need. Because the last thing you want to do is show up on set and, oh, no HDMI cables. Oh, this XLR cable that was just working for the last shoot is no longer working. That extension cord, that stinger, is out of commission, right? So putting everything together and connecting all your cables will ensure that you have everything you need, right? You would hate to go on set and not have that 3.5 millimeter cable that you need to connect this to that, right? Because you just knew that you put it in a bag after you finished your last shoot, but you forgot you took it out because you did that run and gun gig. You understand what I'm saying? And also by connecting all your cables and making sure everything is working properly, you will ensure that all your batteries are charged up during this same time. You will ensure that you actually have the power cables that you need for your light, right? Anything that you may need, you know that you have by connecting all your wires and by setting everything up. And I know it could be tedious, right? I know it seems like this big hassle, but doing so can save you so much time in the long run and prevent you from making amateur mistakes. And plus, just bill it to your client. Just bill it to your client. Like a lot of times we don't charge for pre-production, but all of this is pre-production. Charging up your batteries is pre-production. Packing up your gear is pre-production. Getting that gear list is pre-production. Doing the shot list is pre-production, right? I don't want to start rambling. That could be another video if you all like. And if that is the case, just drop it down in the comment section below and we can go over a few of those different things. If you've been taking anything away from this video, do me a favor and share it with a friend who may be able to take something away from this video as well. The last thing I want to touch on before I give you your time back is that we as videographers must understand the required settings. And getting these settings dialed in prior to showing up on set can save us so much time, because a lot of times there's a million things that we already have to worry about when we get there. We have to worry about what our composition gonna look like. We have to run audio, right? We're setting up lights, we're setting up the cameras and composition. So if we were to take a bit of time prior to arriving, during pre-production, during our gear prep phase, to actually make sure we dial in our settings, we can go in there with much more confidence. And when I talk about required settings, I mean, is the video to be shot in or delivered in 4K, 1080p, 6K? How many frames per second? 24, 30, 60, right? What should our shutter speed be? Well, we know what it should be, but if this is something more creative, that might be a question that we need to ask to our client, just so we're not making assumptions, right? And so that we're all on the same page. Additionally, what picture profile should we be shooting in? Should it be log? Should it be a standard picture profile? Should we be shooting in some type of cine profile, whether it's something like Cinetone, or I think Lumix got Cine D or something? Like I know the different manufacturers have their own different cine profiles, right? Is that something that the client want? And this goes back to who's editing the video. If you're editing it, then chances are you can just do whatever you want because you understand how you are going to grade it and deliver it. However, if it's going to be passed off to someone else, how do they prefer to receive those files? To add to that, this would be the perfect time for you to format your memory cards and to make sure if you are shooting on a camera with dual card slots, this probably be a good time to make sure that you are actually recording to both of those cards simultaneously if you have the memory cards to do so, right? If it makes sense. A lot of times it will, especially if you're going out on a professional shoot. But you know your gear, you know what's up, right? And I just want to say this again before moving on. Make sure your batteries are charged. Make sure you have extra batteries, right? You want to make sure your camera batteries are charged. You want to make sure your V-mount batteries are charged. If you're taking power banks, you want to make sure those are charged as well. Make sure you're charged up and ready for any and everything. And now, to bring everything full circle, before you grab up your camera and you run out to a shoot, it is highly important that you first understand the assignment and what is expected of you. What is your client expecting? That is the first and foremost thing that you must do. What is expected of you? How can you fulfill this order to the best of your ability? And that comes with clear, open, and honest communication with your client. Next, understand the absolute minimum gear that you're going to need to get the job done. Understand the leanest setup that you can take with you and still accomplish that goal. And once you understand the leanest setup, then you can add on things that allow for you to be more efficient. And I want you to understand, I have faith in you. If you are a creative, then you are a creative, right? And you may run into unforeseen problems. In fact, you will run into those issues. But because you are a creative, you will figure it out. Whether you got to MacGyver something up or you got to go run out to the store right quick to pick something up, you will figure it out without a doubt. But this video is to help you to not have to figure it out because you've already figured it out. And finally, make sure you have all your settings dialed in before you show up to set, because you are already going to have a number of other things to worry about without fiddling with your camera to make sure that you got the proper frames per second. You're going to have to set a custom white balance. You're already going to have to do that. You're already going to have to get your mic together, right? You're going to have to do a sound check. You're going to have to make sure your lights are right? Make sure the overhead lighting not looking too crazy on your talent. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to worry about without having to worry about something that you could have already taken care of. Oh, and again, check those connections before you go. Check those connections. Check those connections. There are so many wires that we need. We don't need you to forget any of them, because quite frankly, it's a bit embarrassing. Thank you for spending your time here with me today, and I hope you feel as if it was a good use of your time. Whether you're doing event videography or you're going out for a typical interview corporate shoot, I have videos for you over here that'll help you along the way so you can take a look at my gear and hopefully be inspired by it. Thank you again for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one. Love.